Hi, I'm Christian. I'm a solutions engineer here at Gamesight, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to configure and create your own goals within the Gamesight platform. So first of all, what are goals? In Gamesight, goals are the conversion events or KPIs that you're trying to drive your players or users to do, either in-game or on the website. Examples of goals might include the initial purchase or install of a game, purchase of in-game content like DLCs or skin packs. We can even create retention goals or things that are happening on web that are non-revenue related, such as account registrations, login events, or even in-game activities such as completing a tutorial level or finishing a game. Any event that's important for you as a marketer to understand about your player base and where they're coming from, this is something that you can create a goal about in Gamesight. And one of the cool things about Gamesight is that we don't put you in a box with the number or types of goals that you can create. They're completely customizable towards what's important for your game. So say your game has a lot of in-game revenue events, you can create goals for all of those. Or maybe you just want to create one goal bucket for all of your revenue events to be reflected in Gamesight. You can do that too. It's totally up to you. So now let's take a look at how to actually create those goals for yourself once you have a new event that you want to start tracking as a marketer. So I'm on the home page now. I'm going to go to the left-hand side here, and I'm going to find the Management tab. I'm going to click that. And then in the center of the screen, you'll see the Games section. I'm going to go down to Goals here. I'm going to click on Goals. And the Goals tab pops out. In this pane here, we see a lot of information. On the left-hand side, we see all of the current goals that are created for my game. And you can click through these and you can see the differences between them. For instance, for the DLC purchase goal, we can find the goal ID here. We can find the name, description. We can see how many times it can be triggered per user. And then in those triggers, we can get a little bit more detailed information, such as what is the event type that's triggering that goal? Is it triggered on the first event only? And then further down, we can see revenue related information. So for this DLC purchase example, we can see that we have some revenue data for different regions, which is good. And then further down, we can find scheduled revenue. So if we know that we have sales coming up, we can configure scheduled revenue here in this section. Let's say that for this example, we have a DLC that's coming out in the spring, and we need to create a goal for that. So I'm going to come up to the top left here and find this Add Goal button. I'm going to click that. I'm going to give that goal a name in our wizard here that pops out. So I'm going to call this Spring DLC 1. And then you can optionally put a description here. For this one, I know what DLC this is. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to put any additional information, but you do have that option here if you want to. I'll click Next, and then we're going to have to configure the logic for this goal. So for Spring DLC 1, I know that this is a goal that is triggered by an event that's happening in-game. And so my dev has told me that the name here is DLC Pack 1. And it's very important that I get this name and spelling and configuration exactly matching what's being sent from either the in-game or the on-web integration, because this is the exact spelling that the Gamesight engine is going to look for to trigger that goal. And then we need to define the event logic here as far as when should we trigger this event for a user? Should we only trigger it the first time that we see it for an individual user? Or is this an event that can be triggered multiple times and we should recognize it more than once? So for revenue related events like DLC purchases or initial installs, it's most likely that we'd only want to trigger this once per user, as well as non-revenue related events such as account registrations that are probably only going to happen once per user. But for other events like purchasing in-game currency, those are repeatable. So for those, we might want to select no here. We might actually want to recognize that more than once per user. So for this example, I am going to say yes, because we can only purchase this DLC pack once, and I'll click Submit. And you can see our new goal created here on the left, Spring DLC 1, and all the associated information that we just input when we walked through the wizard. Some other things that are important to note, again, are these revenue sections are blank by default. So I would need to come in here and create revenue for this event. For now, we're just going to create a global rule. And so I will use a star for platform that's going to denote for any platform. Alternatively, you could come in here if you do have different prices for different platforms. You could denote Steam versus Xbox, etc. So I'm just going to keep it on the asterisk for now. And then region, again, we can define different regions. So United States pricing versus UK pricing versus Canadian pricing and so on and so forth. I'm just going to create a global rule for all purchases. And I know that this DLC is $14.99 US dollars. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I'll click submit to reflect my changes here. And there we go. We have a new goal that we've created in Gamesight for our new spring DLC. And all the logic associated with that makes sense. And we've even created revenue. So the next step here is probably to test that this goal is working. So in Gamesight or maybe in your staging environment, go ahead and try to send a test event for DLC Pack 1 to your game in Gamesight and just make sure that that's reflected in your reporting to give you the confidence going forward that when we go live with this DLC, that we're going to be able to record those events and attribute them properly. Okay, so that's all on configuring events. We do have more detail in our documentation, so I encourage you to go check out our docs and see if there's anything else there that you might find interesting about goals. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us through Slack or through our support channel. We'd be happy to help.